Welcome to the club, the Netflix Sports Club podcast. I'm Kay Adams. I binge watched Quarterback season 2. Did you? The person who I really think steals the season and is so easy to root for is Jared Goff. I was so happy to get to sit down with him, get to know him, talk about his family life a little bit off the field, and certainly relive some of those moments on it.
I feel so lucky to be the quarterback.
Well, as a quarterback,
You have to be that guy that your teammates are relying on. A lot of people in my former organization may have thought I was being cast away, but I saw an opportunity I had here. It was special.
Joined now by Jared Goff, a star on season 2 of Quarterback. It is great to see you, but I kind of wish it was Quincy. I got to be honest.
Oh, yeah. Is he a star? He's going to be a famous little pup running around now.
I mean, I feel like we could not get enough. I wish you could have transported him to Atlanta and to Cincinnati so he was in both of the other quarterback scenes. You have the sweetest, cutest family. Thank you for letting Netflix, for letting us fans inside. That had to take a certain level of vulnerability. What was that experience like?
Yeah, it did. It really did. I think you're hesitant for a long time to do it. It took me a little while thinking it over to decide whether or not I wanted to do it. I think ultimately it comes down to you want to let people know who you are. You want to let people into your life a little bit and take that curtain down a little bit and let people see what goes on. And I think quarterbacks, certainly in our league, you're kind of forward facing, you're kind of the face of the organization. And so often you have to kind of be this person all the time. And I think with this show, it allows everyone to kind of see who we are actually and get a little inside look at us.
What are you excited for fans to see?
I'm excited for them to see our process, and I can't speak for Joe and Kirk, but I'm sure they have a pretty intense process as well. Where weekly it's hard. It really is hard, and everyone sees the game. Everyone knows Sunday. Everyone sees the fantasy points, the whole thing. They don't see Monday through Saturday, and the process that it takes to reload and get ready to play again each week.
Patrick Mahomes is an executive producer on this. What were those conversations like with him leading up to or even during the filming process?
I talked with him way before. I ran into him at an event last year at some point, and he said he had a great time doing it. He said he really enjoyed it, and he said they won the Super Bowl doing it, so I thought maybe that'll be our good luck charm. But yeah, he said he had a good time and vouched for it, obviously.
You had just an incredible season. I know it didn't end how you wanted it to, and we'll get to that. But you really, truly had some of the most polished performances I saw. Everyone talks about your accuracy, but what was on display for me, why I think you're the star of this season, is your resilience somehow still isn't talked about enough. Not just from the trade, not just from maybe like your first year, but just in games you get down and you come back. And it's so fun to watch. You do not stay down. You get up. Can we talk a little bit about maybe like what your mentality is, what you're made of, that's true? Because I'll tell you, Jared, it's not even just like the moments that are shown in this season, but I was watching it and I was thinking back to 2018 Chiefs Rams and just you and Patrick blow for both, strip sack. You go right back down and you score and you win. Like that's who you are.
Yeah, it's I like to pride myself in being able to not be affected by the roller coaster of a game and just kind of stay in it and know the next play is the most important play. And it's hard. It really is. It's not like I have some superpower that makes it easier. It's hard every time. It doesn't get any easier to do that. But I've been to the bottom, I've seen the bottom and seen what it looks like when it's hard. And I think throwing 2 picks in a game is not the hardest thing you can go through in this league. So I'm able to bounce back pretty quickly from performances like that. The 5 interceptions to Houston was somewhat out of control. I was not happy about that by any means, but you saw it in the show. I knew I had to stick in there for my teammates and find a way to make some plays at the end of the game, make some throws and sit in there. And our defense ultimately helped us win that one.
Was that the weirdest game you've ever been a part of? It was the weirdest of last season for sure.
It was for me. I mean, it was so strange. Things just seemed to not go our way and not be our night. And I think that's kind of the narrative that you can never buy into is like, it's so easy to go, oh, tonight's not our night, easy. All right. See you next week. But like, never buy into that. It's never true. It's never the truth. It can be anyone's night in any game and any day and taking it one play at a time and trying to come back the next play and be better and make the plays over and over.
You had some great one-liners here. You and Tom Brady, a little bit of that. I also liked that you sort of took it to people who have, speaking of narratives, this idea that you're not this cold weather quarterback, that you can't do it. Like, obviously we got to see in season 2, you taking on Chicago, putting it to them. What is the narrative that bothers you the most of anything that's out there? The one that if you were to tweet or address it or give a one-liner, like what's one that you do not like?
Ooh, I mean, I'll go with that one you just said. I mean, it's just such a lazy narrative because it's based in zero fact. It's just based on the fact that I'm from California, I guess. I've played some of my best games in cold weather and some of my best games when I put the gloves on and it's snowing. Like those have been some of my greatest statistical wins and the whole thing. And I think it's funny every year we end up playing a cold game and they ask me every year, like, are you ready for this? And I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah, it's funny. I think that one's born out of laziness.
And I do think that when people see this, it will stick to them when you are playing in those cold weather NFC North games this year, that is a lazy, stupid narrative. And I love that you've addressed it quickly and decisively, as if not that you should have to. You're talking about winning lots of games. You know what I looked up this morning? That bite that you got, it was the SNF Seattle game that's also beautifully, like we get to see the background of all of that. You're in the All Blacks. I've talked to Megatron about this. You're in the Honolulu Blue helmets. You crush when you wear those. Do you know that?
Yeah, they're typically in prime time.
There we go. That's what it is. Sorry. I'm trying to make a cute wardrobe thing. And you're like, no, I'm awesome under the bright lights, Kate. I get it. You wore those 3 times last year. You threw for 1,017 yards, Jared, in 3 games. You averaged 38 points a game. Like, can we just wear those every day? Or is it just that we want prime time every week?
The black and blue, yeah. It's been a good combo for us. It's sweet. It throws it back to those Megatron days, like you said. And typically, like you said, we're wearing them in prime time. And that makes it a lot of fun to pull those out for the fans and let them see it.
My favorite parts of watching, obviously we'll get to the behind the scenes, which is the real, like that's the candy right there of the BTS of what it is to be a quarterback, to be a family man, a husband, to go through with the ups and downs. But I do love, like as a football fan, the taking me inside, the practice that goes into a play, the selling of the art of the stumble. Can you take me through the art of selling a stumble? Because it was awesome to watch.
Yeah, I was kind of on that edge of like actually falling in practice and trying to like kind of make sure I wasn't going to fall. And I said that in the show. I said, yeah, I actually kind of fell there. But yeah, you just kind of put your hand on the ground and make it look like you're falling. And I think the running back, Gibbs in that play kind of really sells it by him actually hitting the ground. Really makes it look like, something went seriously wrong and pauses those guys for a second on defense. But yeah, it worked out pretty well. It was a fun one to work on. We ran it probably 4 or 5 times during that week and it was ready to go when you call it.
What was it like watching that Commanders game back?
Oh, man. Not good. Tough. Really tough. It was hard to watch it on tape immediately after, but then having to watch it back in the show was, again, heartbreaking. And our season ended prematurely. And tip your cap to them. They played a great game, but we certainly didn't show up that day.
You said that you still wake up thinking about what more you could have done, that every day until time heals all. That's what you say in the show. Where are you now in the process? Are you still thinking about it every day?
Yeah, I think, yes, to some extent, less now than I was. I think once you get back and get into OTAs and you start a new year with new coaches, that energy kind of leaves and you're able to start a new season with a new team and look forward. But yeah, for quite some time, months, and still sometimes now for sure, where you think about how things could have been different, what you could have done differently on a certain play, and stuff that I hope can make me better moving forward and learn from and use it as a good stepping stone and experience.
I think down moments push you, as I was saying. It's not even resilience, because then you get back up, but you go further when you're down. That's what I've noticed about you from the day that you were drafted and brought into my NFL fan's life. So I'm excited to see what next year looks like. When you're watching that loss, how your season ended, the thing that you're reliving feelings, but you're also seeing how Kristen was experiencing that. What was that like?
Yeah, it was hard, really hard. I never get to see anything that happens up in that box there with all my friends and family, but seeing how crushed she was makes it really hard. And, I was kind of joking with her after, like, hey, like, you don't need to be that upset. It's just football, but she wants it so bad for me and for all of our team. And she's very invested. She spends a lot of time out there and with me on everything. And she becomes a part of it. And I understand why she was feeling that way. And it's hard.
I thought there was a really a moment in the season that really personified sort of your relationship. I mean, it's like so perfect. I can't even. But you guys are putting decorations on the tree with Quincy. And she goes by you while you're putting this, which I'm sure Dan Campbell was like, get off of the ladder. What are you doing? Right? He's going to freak out about that.
Oh yeah, I was safe. I felt good. If I were going to fall, I was going to fall into the tree and that was going to break my fall. So I was going to be just fine. Yeah.
Very smart. But Kristen sort of stands by you and she says, I'm just going to stand here in case you need me. And it popped to me because that really feels like what she means to you. And I truly cannot imagine what you would be or what your life would be like without Kristen at this point after watching this season.
Yeah, I feel the same way, and I'm glad that came through in the show. Yeah, she's my rock. She really is, and like you said, she's there if I need anything, and she's been there for me in a big way when I was traded and coming out there with me just as my girlfriend. She didn't have to make that commitment, and something I'll always be thankful for. And then yeah, being as invested as she is every year and helping me. And I'm sure we were reading plays in some of the episodes where she's kind of reading them back to me. That's real. We do that every week, and she loves it. She loves hearing the new play names and kind of getting excited for some of them. But it truly is helpful, and she understands how much is on the line for our team and how much they need me. And then she makes those sacrifices accordingly. And I'm very thankful.
Are we using any play name or like names of plays for baby names? Are we like trying to like, are we doing a football-y name? Like, what can you tell us?
Stumblebum wouldn't really work for a little girl, I don't think. I don't know. No, we're not. But that was a good idea.
What are you thinking in that moment in the series where you are seeing your baby and there you guys are at the doctor's office and your face it's very telling, but I'd love to hear what you're thinking in that moment.
Yeah, just so excited for what's to come, and such a new chapter for both of us. But yeah, you get to become a dad. You get to be your daughter's role model. You get to be her first look at what it looks like to treat a girl the right way. And you hope that you're able to live up to those standards that, you want to set. And yeah, there's a lot of pressure, but at the same time, it's what a gift and what a blessing for me to be soon to be girl dad.
Soon to be girl dad. Are you getting advice from people? Who's giving you the most advice?
Oh man, a ton of people. Everyone I talk to is, telling me how much it's going to change my life. And everyone always is like, yeah, the boy's cool, but the girl's really the one that changes who you are and softens your heart a little bit. And yeah, I'm excited for that.
What kind of a babysitter would Dan Campbell be?
He'd probably be pretty good.
Yeah,
He's got a gentle touch when he needs to, and he's got 2 kids of his own. He's raised them well, and I'm sure he wouldn't like to go back to change diapers, but he'd be all right.
We had a little Dan Campbell, not a ton of Dan Campbell in this one. When he's up the way he is and he's like, at a 10 out of 10, does it make you raise your energy or do you then balance him out in the other way where you're more calm?
I would just say naturally I'm a bit more calm, but I think playing for him has changed the way I approach the game and changed the way I see things, and his aggressiveness and his confidence and demeanor and how much he believes in us regardless of circumstance, just because we're his guys and he's our coach. Like, that has changed the way I've approached the game and how I see certain things in certain situations of the game. And you notice in that Green Bay game, him going for it. And
yeah,
it's so funny. We convert and we win the game, and there's still people on Monday and Tuesday that are saying it's the wrong decision. How? We won the game. Like, I don't get it, but I love playing for him, and I love that he kind of brings out the best in me.
I told you you'd never forget this game. You will never forget this fucking game. We don't have to talk about how tough we are. We don't have to talk about how resilient we are. We fucking live it, man. We've been living it.
I think you care about wins. That's all you care about. But you do know your stats, Jared. It's very fun for me, like, to listen to you being like 33 touchdowns. That's my career. Like, you know your stuff. What is the stat outside of wins and losses?
I care about completion percentage, certainly. I think that's a big one. I think getting the ball to your guys more times than it hits the ground is important. That's one I'm looking at throughout the year, making sure that's at the right point. And if it's not, finding ways to improve that. I think sacks are a big stat that doesn't get talked about enough. I think it's a quarterback stat, and certainly the O-line has a lot to do with it. But if you're getting the ball out of your hands with it before you're getting tackled, that's good on you as a quarterback. And I try to make sure those are low as well. And I think the O-line likes that.
My favorite thing about your part of season 2 is right at the beginning. When you, I don't mean this to sound like condescending, like I'm like proud of you, if that makes sense. Like you were very honest, direct and short about how you felt about the Rams in this trade. And I thought, what did that do for you to be able to say that that freely on Netflix? What was that like?
Yeah, I think I was in a good point of my life and my career to be able to talk about it pretty freely and have those conversations and be able to say what I felt and how I felt and kind of let people see my side of the story to some extent. I think I've told the story a million times, but being able to be a little bit more detailed was nice to show people that. But yeah, it's so far in the past now, and I know it'll always be a part of my story, but it's nice to kind of tell it for once and for all type of thing. I don't feel like I have to address it any further, and can kind of refer to for this show as the document to check it out.
Yeah. You have the Rams. You've got Thanksgiving against the Packers. You know, I didn't even have this one written down, but you love this Brian Flores. You have a lot of respect for him. I think that really shows in this series too.
A ton.
Yeah.
And I've been on the wrong side of his defense a lot of times, and I've been on the right side of it too, where it's been an immense challenge to try to overcome some of the things he does on defense. And when you're able to do that and have success against his defense, you feel pretty proud of yourself the way you handled things, because there is so much going on. But yeah, I think early in my career, he got me a couple of times. And the last couple of years, I'd say I'd have the upper hand. So we're even now, and I got a few more games against him this year.
That's right. If executive producer Patrick Mahomes said, listen, we have to do for season 3 like a one-off, like just one little episode for Jared Goff, because you were such a huge star. We have to get you, Quincy, Kristen, the whole gang together, right? Amon-Ra with whatever color hair he has, your new OC who will be a pop-off star. Which game would you want to highlight? Would it be the Rams? Thanksgiving Packers is pretty freaking good. And congrats on that win and that cold chicken leg that Tracy Wilson.
Hold on. Bring it off for me. There you go.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was delicious chicken leg.
Turkey leg.
Yeah, it was a turkey leg.
Oh, I've got it. Don't you worry. I'm going to give you just these choices. Rams,
Okay.
Thanksgiving Packers, Week 10 at Commanders revenge game. Which one is the one that you think, like, if Patrick asked you, we need to highlight one, which one would that be? For the storylines, for what matters to Jared Goff.
What matters to me is certainly Thanksgiving against Green Bay. I don't know if that would be what you guys would want as fans, but for me, Thanksgiving is obviously a tradition in Detroit. And winning last year was my first time winning on Thanksgiving. And so I want to keep that going. And Green Bay is always a tough rival for us. And getting them at home on Thanksgiving, getting that game on would be cool. I think it'd be cool to let people see how short that week is too, because it happens really fast.
What do we not know about that week still?
We don't practice. We just walk through for 2 days and you play at 12 o'clock, and it's the shortest week in football for sure. At least on a Thursday night game, it's 7 o'clock start. You kind of have that morning to wrap some things up and maybe walk through again and kind of get your mind right and maybe take a nap and get your body back a little bit. It's 12 o'clock start at, Thanksgiving. And I don't know if it is this year. I think they might have moved it back an hour, but still it's an early start and it happens fast.
Tracy's got to heat up those turkey legs this year.
That's right. They're good.
I can't wait to see that. After that Texans game, weirdest game of the year, weirdest game of your that you've survived, you said something in the locker room. You kept saying, we are effing different.
Yeah.
We are effing different.
Hey, like he said, this shit don't fucking happen, boys. We're fucking different. Again, I'll say it again. This group's fucking different. Win on 3, 1, 2, 3, win!
What do you mean by that?
I just think what we're built in and the way we've been built to this point, the last 3 or 4 years, allows us to believe that in ourselves, that we are different, and not everyone has gone through what we've gone through. And this core group of players that's still intact from 2021, 2022, like those guys know what the mud was that we went through, and Dan and a lot of the coaches certainly know too. But you can't be as hardened as I believe we are unless you actually go through that, and that's why we're different.
Frank Ragnow's gone. You're going to be different this year. No Ben Johnson. Everyone wants their narratives. Everyone wants their, whatever. I think your resilience, I think you guys are loaded, by the way. Your personnel might be better because you'll be healthy. You were so decimated. It was insane to watch what was going on defense. Of course, you went through an ankle injury, all these things that were going on, but your team was banged up. What are you most looking forward to proving this next season as you're saying the pressure is on?
Proving is no, I don't know if that's the right word for me. Like, I think I just want to start a new chapter. It's every year a chapter opens and a chapter closes, and proving people right or wrong is it's a hot flame. It's nice, but it burns fast, and it's not going to last through the whole year. But I think I just want to start fresh and have a great year with new guys, and really focus on holding that trophy at the end of the year. That's what we want. We really do. And I think we were so close last year and the year before to get into that point and came up short. So it's how do we find a way to do that this year and start from scratch, start from the bottom. Everyone does, and that's the fun part.
Outside of health, is there something you're looking forward to that you're excited about with this team, that like a little quirk, somebody that might pop off that you've noticed even through OTAs?
Yeah, I think JMO's really ready for his
Let's
moment. And St. Brown's going to do what he does. Laporta's going to do what he does. Gibbs and Montgomery are going to do what they do. But I think he's ready to take that next step, and he had a hell of a spring.
I'd like you to nominate, Jared, the next 3 quarterbacks that should be on season 3.
I think they need to get a younger guy in there, because I think there's different challenges for a younger guy. Now, it's going to be harder to convince a younger guy to do it because it's a lot of vulnerability early on in your career, but I think it'd be cool to see a younger player in moments that he hasn't experienced yet.
By the way, like, you're actually very good at explaining football. Like, I was watching it this morning with some girlfriends who aren't the biggest football fans, and they're like, oh, hook and ladder. Like, I get like the way that you were breaking. Like, if this whole thing doesn't work out for you, which it will, and you're going to get a Super Bowl ring out of it too. Like, you are very amazing at breaking down everything that the NFL has to offer. I made a list of quarterbacks though, that not to be on the series. By the way, Mark Brunell, you love him. He's getting so much face time in the series.
I know.
I mean, does he not get enough love maybe for his role in?
I don't think he does. Yeah, and I'm glad he gets a little bit more face time in this deal. But he's been as instrumental as anybody in my success and our team's success.
I was thinking of all the quarterbacks that, like the Justin Fields, the Trevor Lawrences, they were on my list, or, being a fellow number one guy, Herbert, Darnold, still with these, opportunities to sort of change what might be the narrative. It's a very hard thing to do, is change how you're looked at. It's very hard to go from not Jared Goff chants to literal everyone screaming your name. Maybe we'll start with, just quickly to end this, like, what is that like?
Yeah, I think it's out of your control, first of all. So there's not much you can do to control that. So I would advise those guys to not try to control it, but just be yourself and let the chips fall where they may to some extent. But I think I've been so lucky to be embraced by the city and by our coaches and fans and everybody, and be a big part of what we've done, and see the whole city of Detroit kind of rally behind not only the Lions, but every sports team, and kind of have a renaissance of its own as a city. And to be able to be a quarterback of the team while that's happening, it's a dream come true. And I pinch myself every day. I get to go out there and play in front of these fans, and I love it. And I need to bring them a Super Bowl.
And how can you not root for him to win and bring that city a Super Bowl? The chance for Jared Goff, the family moments, the reliving. So, how nice that was of him to go behind the scenes, watching them lose to the Commanders. They opened the season up against the Packers. So much intrigue. I want to hear from you. You're part of the club. You're part of the show. SpeakPipe/Netflix Sports. You can hit us up on Netflix Sports Social, who've been crushing it lately, putting out so many clips from what we have, of course, what Netflix has in store. Leave me a message. I want to know, what was the most compelling storyline to you? Were you a Kirk Cousins person? Is Kirk Cousins with the Falcons still? We don't know what's going on. We know where he cuts his hair, though, thanks to Quarterback Season 2. And it's not just football, and I know I'm obsessed with the NFL, but Netflix Sports literally has every sport covered. F1 and golf and boxing and even cycling. That's right. Season 3 of Tour de France Unchained, available right now on Netflix. I hear that there's a lot of cycling drama going on, so excited to follow that over on Netflix. Huge thanks to Jared Goff for joining us. I cannot wait to see what he does, what the new OC does, what the Lions do, and what it's like to be a new dad, all going on in Detroit this season. You can see Jared Goff on Season 2 of Quarterback alongside Kirk Cousins and Joe Burrow. And speaking of Joe Burrow, the legendary Heisman Trophy winner from LSU, we're bringing you more football with our next episode. It's a look into SEC football any given Saturday.
The SEC is the greatest place in the world to play college football.
It's the SEC teams who are winning the national championship.
There's such small towns, maybe there's 30,000. But then you pull up to the stadium and there's 90,000 people.
If you play in this league, you will walk into the fire.
Netflix Sports Club is a production of Netflix and Pod People. From Netflix, our executive producers are Erica Brady, Andy Harris, Catherine Hugh, and David Markowitz. Our studio engineer is Scott Somerville, and from Pod People, our producers are Buffy Gorilla, Tony Mantilla, and Brian Rivers. Big thanks to everyone, and this episode was edited for video by Kai Lee. Carter Wogan is our sound designer. I'm your host, Kay Adams. We'll see you next time.